Interestingly, the Arcturius narrative, which is a non-issue really, due to lessening potency of the medical bogeyman psychodrama. However, Arcturius is a star within the constellation Bootes, or the bear. It is also called the Harvest, or the Lord of the Harvest, that constellation. Whenever we see within the Bible this notion of the coming Lord of the Harvest, and I'll read just a few Bible passages here, New Testament of course. Matthew 9:37 to 38, quote, "Then he said to his disciples, the harvest truly is plentiful, but the labourers are few. Therefore pray the Lord of the harvest to send out labourers into his harvest," unquote. Moreover, we see within the Old Testament, to mind Joel 3:13, we see another allusion to this Lord of the harvest character. Quote, "Then I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and on the cloud sat one like the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle." Again, this is the harvest of the loosh. "And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud," quote, "Thrust in your sickle and reap, for the time has come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe," unquote. Revelation 14 verses 14 to 15. I will get into this notion of loosh, but it'll probably take a video or several videos in and of itself. But this is the reason for the artificial collapses throughout history. It's the reason for this cartel, this mob, this clique, cabal, to go into these various civilizations, raise them up, then collapse them. Entirely, totally. Through war, famine, pestilence, you name it, anything that can induce death, obviously poison as well. However, this Bootes constellation was the Lord of the Harvest. I do apologise, I'm probably murdering that pronunciation there. But yes, so it is the Lord of the Harvest, the herdsman. He carries the sickle. So, again, you're seeing Arcturius, this narrative, really puts into perspective potentially what they're doing here. Of course, as well, the US have just spent, I think it's either 5 billion or 10 billion on new needle crafts, should we say. Of course, we have the narrative out of Sudan, where a term that's friendly for YouTube, a laboratory, a biological laboratory has been set alight, and they're producing, or supposedly has been set alight, they're producing the narrative from that event or non-event that there is a biological hazard, that there is a strong or high chance of a biological hazard, an escaped strain of a disease, a contagion. So quite interesting indeed. Is the coming, the one who rules, the coming one, he cometh, the branch treading underfoot, the coming forth as an arrow, which implies pestilence. Whenever you see the symbolism of an arrow, it usually means pestilence. Usually means pestilence. You have preserver as another epithet, which ties into Vishnu and the various avatars of Vishnu. You've probably heard of Krishna, Rama. Krishna was the 7th avatar of Vishnu. The 8th avatar will be Kalki. That will be the avatar that concludes the Kali Yuga. But according to the timescale of the Kali Yuga, we are nowhere near the end of it. In fact, we're just at the beginning of it. The Kali Yuga is the era or the generation of death, or time, of confusion and ignorance, the avidyas. The ancient Greek Arcturius means guardian of the bear. Arcturius is the 4th brightest star in the sky and culminates at midnight on the 27th of April, which interestingly is around about the same time this entire narrative of the Arcturius came out. Quote, in ancient Mesopotamia, it was linked to the god Enlil, the lord of the air, and the one who induced the great deluge upon mankind in the days of Atrahasis, or the Sumerian Noah, and is also known as Shudun, or the yoke, or Shupa, which is of unknown derivation, and also appears within the 3 stars each, a Babylonian star catalogue, and later is named Mul-Apin, literally the plough, and that was around 1100 BC. Moreover, in Sanskrit, it is named Svati, or the Great Goer, and is linked with the moon as being one of the moon's wives, as it is said. On the plough, that links with the harvest and of agriculture, or human farming in this case. And after the harvest, the plough tills the barren soil, once more to thence make room for the new seed. It breaks up and destroys the old ground, that is. In essence, as it pertains to this situation we are in, the state are the plough, and seek to break up the imperial stock, or the original indigenous stock, if you will, or the traditional population via the inducement of death en masse, for them to then plant the genetic and ideological seed of the new digital Helot population. Of the Sator magic square, we find that its true translation would generally read, quote, he who is without blemish, the sower, works the wheels with skill, unquote. Now this links to loosh, this idea of loosh, and this notion that what we reside within right now is a garden, and the cash crop which is grown within this garden is human suffering, or negative human emotion. That is what allows the perpetuation of existence via the energetic flux that it engenders, right? Again, I'll get into that within another video, but that's what the Sator magic square is referring to, the true translation of it. In other words, the demiurge, Yama, this is what the Sator magic square is describing, or he who holds the reins over the wheel of samsara, uses the process of sowing and harvesting, that continual process, the rise and fall of civilizations. Civilization and the urbanization that always occurs during empires and civilizations, really, is to corral the human crop into a tightly knit growing pen, right? They're fed, they're allowed to rise so far, and then a controlled demolition occurs of the entire system, and you have the 3 horsemen, or the 3 Horusmen, right? I'll get into that within another video, the esoteric meaning behind that. But the 3 horsemen, typically war, famine, and pestilence, that is what produces the 4th, or death, right? Death en masse. At the end of every epoch, right, at the end of these sub-cycles of the rise and fall of civilizations, occurs mass die-offs. Now, think of this conspiratorial clique, these Yamadutas, the messengers of Yama, the messengers of the Lord, the demiurge. They are collectors of this loosh. They produce this loosh via the death of people, right? Via the suffering and eventual death of people, when that is the point at which the loosh is released and is in a usable state, according to Robert Monroe. So that's the reason for all of this. These creators and destroyers of civilization. That is why they have, primarily, is their main tool for the rise and fall of civilizations and their mass die-off. The main tool that they use is credit, right? They had to get control of the trade, of the commerce, of the international monetary system. They had to establish it, they had to control it via the creation of infinite credit and the scam surrounding that which is at the basis of the entire monetary system now and has been conceivably since the dawn of civilization itself. However, that's the reason for the introduction of that. It's to allow them the flexibility, almost playing with God mode on in many ways. It allows them to raise up civilizations, then to tear them down with ease, and to control the mercenaries that they will use at the end of the controlled demolition of the civilization. You know, like a thunderdome, if you will, to go out and kill the stragglers. So we see it throughout history. The late Bronze Age collapse, the Amorite overturning of the Akkadian Empire. All of this, it all pertains to this harvesting, growing and harvesting of loosh, right? Which permits the continuance of this illusion, this world of Maya, of matter. So this is the reason as well for human sacrifice, for child sacrifice, for all manner of hazing rituals, is to produce suffering. So continuing on, his Yamadutas, or the messengers of Yama, the messengers of the Lord, the prophets, who profit from the misery they prophesize and plan. They raise up civilizations and empires of the world, and thence bring them crashing to the ground. Why is this done? It produces loosh, or negative loosh, or suffering, the energetic flux which maintains the angular momentum to the illusory wheel of the world of samsara. So to go into the Sator square and the individual words and their meaning and their etymology, of course. So we have Sator, nominative or vocative, noun, from serere, meaning to sow, sower, planter, founder, progenitor, usually divine, originator, literally cedar, arepo, most likely from the Sanskrit arepas, meaning he who is spotless or without blemish. It can also infer nihilism as well. That's being without good or evil, or beyond good or evil, caring not for good or evil as well. Tenet, verb from tenere, to hold. He, she, it holds, keeps, comprehends, possesses, masters, preserves, sustains. Opera, nominative, accusative or vocative. See opus, plural, noun. Work, care, aid, labour, service, effort, trouble. From opus, nominative, accusative or vocative noun. Works, deeds, ablative, with effort. Rotas, rotas, accusative, plural of rota. Wheels, verb. You, singular, turn or cause to rotate. Therefore, this further links with this cedar or sower concept. Recall Georgia Guidestones translates to the concealed meaning of guidestones to the harvest or guidestones to human farming. Georgia deriving etymologically from a composite Greek term, Georgios, meaning in its archaic sense, in its true etymological sense, farm work. The term may also be translated as tiller of the land, again another allusion to the demiurge, or the Sator arepo tenet opera rotas, also colloquially termed the Sator magic square. So you will see there, this is the wheel of samsara. Yama is this demon that holds it with its four limbs, with its teeth clenched into it, gripping tightly. Notice the Buddha to the left and to the right, but notice the Buddha to the right hand pointing to the full moon. Now again, as we were stating with Arcturius, that links to the lunar cycles, links to the moon. Supposedly, it was one of the moon's wives, right, within the Sanskrit or Vedic tradition, where it was known as Vati, the Great Gore. I wish to state that what I'm speaking about here, These are psycho-spiritual states, right? The gods are internal to us. They exist within our psyche. In essence, they're states between consciousness and unconsciousness, or that generative state of manifestation. So the heavenly realm would be the unconscious state. The conscious state would be the lower terrestrial, perceivable material forms, perceivable via the senses, of course. So that's what it's really referring to.